All right, everyone, welcome to, I forget which episode this is, but it's the new episode of Truth Noir. And we're eating popsicles.
Right.
I believe they're made out of cantaloupe. And these were made on a previous episode of Drone Food, which is hosted by our very own Nolan Silverstein. He's in the office right now, thinking of his next, culinary masterpiece. And I'm here with a person you've seen before if you watch, which I'm sure there are two of you. Adam Papagan is here once again, joining us, and let's do. Oh, you already licked yours and made it all gross. I was going to do a little
stick.
little popsicle stick chew.
Yeah,
all right,
stick to stick.
that's sanitary. I haven't tried mine yet. They're a little icy, but they are delicious from what I've been able to sample so far. Nom noms. So, so Adam's here with us again for the fourth time now, I believe, and it's more than any other person has hosted this show.
Even you.
Aside from myself. Yeah, I've only been here like half the time. Like, you see me sitting over here, but I am usually somewhere else. Possibly in a parallel dimension, and there's a thing I wanted to bring up which suggests that we might have crossed over into one.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Weird stuff, man. But first, I wanted to talk to you a little bit, Adam. It's been a few weeks since I've seen you.
Yeah.
And so, wanted to say hello again. Hope you've been well.
Great.
I know.
Have you been well?
I've been. Yeah.
'Cause I also hope that you've been well.
I've been all right. These things that I've been looking up, they kind of bum me out. You know, like there's a lot of corruption and a lot of a lot of lack of delicious frozen treats. So I'm grateful for this. But yeah, so I just thought that we'd kind of have a little bit of not like a goof off episode, but apparently, as it turns out, the month of September coming up pretty soon. There's supposed to be like some way out stuff happening, and so I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about it, have a little bit of conversation, because I don't know. No one can know. It hasn't happened yet, but there's supposed to be some way out stuff coming up, and we're gonna talk about a few of the predictions for the month of September, because I've just been seeing this stuff come up over and over again, and it seems like if all of this stuff happens, like the month of September is going to be way out, like just bury your head in the sand, dig a hole under your house. You know, the popsicles or the
some change is gonna come.
Oh yeah, no, some excitement for sure. And then I've come to know that you had a little bit of excitement of your own. You had a little project that you undertook, a little trip that you took
the
some
OJ
people
tour.
on. The OJ Simpson
Murder tour.
So yeah, man, if you care to tell us a little bit about it, it's a thing. This is not the first time you've done it now, right?
I've been doing it for many years, 7, 8 years maybe.
Awesome.
I did not invent the OJ tour. It was invented by a gentleman named Stu Krieger, who wrote The Land Before Time and Smart House and some other Disney Channel movies.
Oh wow, okay.
He's a writer. Yeah, good movie. So he's alone in Brentwood with his family when all this is going down, and his daughter actually went to preschool with like one of their kids. So this was like people he kind of knew, and then this is this big story. So he came up with this tour.
Okay.
And then I was friends with his daughter in high school. I went on the tour, and he gave me permission to continue to do the tour.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, people always ask about it.
So now, is this your first time hosting the tour, or how many times have you done this now?
30.
30 for 30 years now?
Or how many? No, I don't. Do it a couple times a year.
Oh, okay.
For 7 years, but for one point we were doing it a lot. We were doing it, I maybe did it like 5, 10. I maybe done it 15 times, 20 times.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that's probably, well, I mean, it's probably about once a year actually since the thing actually happened.
Yeah.
Right on, man. So how did it go?
Well, I think everybody had a good time.
How many?
It's a fun tour.
How many guests did you have sign up for it?
The first trip had about 7 people in there, and the second one, about 10 people.
This time around?
Yeah.
Right on.
We got a van. I also do it by a regular automobile, but it's more fun in the van.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have like a bullhorn? Were you shouting at people?
That's my car. I forgot. Nolan supplied me with a speaker and a headset.
Very cool. Well, it looks like it's coming along, man. I look forward to going on the next one. Yeah, man, these popsicles are way out.
Yeah, they are way out.
I got so fed up like looking into like the corruption of the world. It kind of like broke my spirits for a second. So
sometimes you need to have a popsicle.
Yeah, man, popsicles are pretty wiggity dope.
Yeah, I'm having a good time eating this.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. It's gonna get pretty messy. I'm gonna probably make this tablet really sticky. I gotta make sure I keep one hand clean so that I can, operate it. But yeah, man. So before we actually get into the main topic of our show that I wanted to elaborate on, there are a couple other. There's one other thing in particular that has really been throwing me for a loop, and it's one of those things that's so weird that I just can't even bring myself to be like angry or depressed. Like I just don't know how to feel about it. But I wanted to ask you. Mm-hmm. You remember the Berenstein Bears stories, right?
Oh, yeah.
How did you spell Berenstein? Like just from memory.
It's spelled with an A. That's the correct way to spell it.
A-I-N?
Mm-hmm. It's just been mispronounced.
Are you sure you're not just a plant, a shill, if you will, for the Illuminati powers that be?
Yeah, because I read the Wikipedia page about it before this controversy, years before. Because I wanted to know about it. And the name, it's people's name, the author, the husband and wife who wrote it. So that's their last name, but it was mispronounced. So I think they might have changed it based on the pronunciation, but the correct is with the A.
Possibly. Now, when I was a child...
Are you sure it was spelled with an E? When did you ever...
I had Berenstein Bear books.
Stop. Okay, right.
As a kid.
You read them, or someone read them to you. When did you ever need to spell Berenstein Bears?
Well, because...
In what instance
because
did you ever need to write out?
I was one of those kids that was curious as to the pronunciation. And it was one of those things where I asked my mom, I was like, well, and we had a German neighbor. And so we asked our German neighbor, how do we pronounce this? Is it Berenstein or Berenstein? And she told us, well, that depends. If you're just German, the E-I-N is pronounced Stein, Berenstein. But if you are like Yiddish, like German Jew, and if it's a Yiddish name, then it's pronounced Steen, S-T-E-I-N. So the question was never about whether it was spelled A-I-N at the end. It was just, how do you pronounce the E-I-N ending? And so now I've come to find that, and I've seen it come up, but I know how it was spelled, And I remember having this conversation with my German neighbor who, helped me, come to understand the difference in pronunciation between Yiddish and German, right? None of which had to do with this A-I-N ending. And so this leads me to one of two possible conclusions. Number one is that we have actually entered a parallel universe which not all of us have actually acclimated to yet. And so I feel that is a genuine possibility, and that kind of freaks me out a little bit.
So wait, did it used to be spelled?
Well, that we've just entered into that when we were kids, And
Well, what's the actual answer? We could find this out.
you can't, as it turns out, because when you Google Berenstein, Stein, it corrects to Stain, and none of the covers are the same as I remember them. They're all spelled with this Stain ending.
I saw on Reddit the very first one before they were called the Berenstein Bears, one was just called like Pop's Treehouse or whatever, just like the name of it. It's by Jan and Bill Berenstein with an A. They wouldn't spell their own name wrong. And what did Wikipedia say about this?
Well, there are any number, and this gets into my second theory. We have either entered into a parallel universe where all of the written documentation, like all of the actual books, have, come to be retroactively spelled Stain, because that's the way it's always been in this new universe that we have entered into. Or it is this strange, Orwellian plot or experiment, if you will, where the powers that be are making a change, a relatively minor one in the grand scheme of things, but they're making this very minor change, and they're saying it's always been this way. It's always been spelled this way. You're a weirdo hack conspiracy theorist if you believe any other way. And just to see if the people at large accept it. And it confuses me. I don't know which way to go. Either we are in a parallel universe and maybe we've entered into a new timeline where maybe Columbus is actually the first person to actually discover the Americas from Europe. Maybe Ronald Reagan was the hero king of America, he's come to be reported by,
those
Fox
are both
News.
good things, right?
Well, yeah, no, it could very well be. So I'm kind of at odds with myself about this because I don't really feel that it can be any other way. I remember the conversation that I had with my neighbor whose dead husband might very well have been a Nazi. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do know that she was German.
Why would you believe a Nazi?
She wasn't a Nazi. Her husband might have been. And who better than a Nazi to speak about the German language or a name, that is derived from, ancestored from the German language.
There's got to be a logical explanation. Why hasn't the publisher said anything about this?
It's all a big snow game, man. They're like, no, man, it's just, you were wrong the whole time. It's always been spelled this way. And I believe that to be true either for the universe that we've entered into, and that only our memories remain of the way it was from where we came from, or, like I said, there is some amazingly well orchestrated Orwellian Big Brother plot to just test the waters and see if the people at large will accept this change without questioning it.
To prepare us for some other brainwash change scam kind of situation?
Well, then all of the rest of the programming will start, and then it will be, we've always been at war with, whoever it is that they want to go to war with next, it'll be, we have always been at war with these people for thousands of years. And people that are like, no, man, this just happened, they'll be like, you are an enemy of the state, and we're going to put you in a cave to break stones or whatever. I don't know, man. I'm just saying, and I know here, we'll go back a little bit because, there it is in plain sight. The Berenstain Bears, Stain.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being spelled that way. But no more books exist with it being spelled the other way.
How's that possible?
Well,
I think that's actually how it's spelled.
No, man. I think it's one of the two. It can only be the two theories that I've expressed, like, because Berenstain is not an actual name that exists in a language. Like, Berenstein is a Germanic name. That's a name that exists. Berenstain doesn't show up on any.
Maybe they changed it during World War II because they didn't want to sound German.
Well, look, man, this isn't the British royal family. These are people that there were little stories about bears, and they used to call themselves Berenstein because that was their name in the universe that we came from.
Okay, well, the way she dresses, Mother Bear.
Yeah.
I always said that was weird.
Mama Bear.
Mama Bear, really dumpy.
Well, she looks kind of dumpy in that book cover photo. And I say photo because I think that's probably what part of this world looks like in the new universe that we've entered into.
Anthropomorphic bears who wear overalls.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, man.
Straw hats.
I wanna live where they live. I wanna go there.
The tree.
It's got fine. Yeah. It's gotta be better than paying traffic tickets and trying to figure out whether douchebag or turd sandwich is better for president of the United States. You are plowing through this popsicle, man. Look at you.
It's fun to eat.
Oh wait, not me. You. Look at Adam. Yeah, man. And then look at mine.
Oh, you've been talking.
Not so much.
You've been running your mouth.
I got a show to do.
I've been running my mouth over this popsicle.
I got a show to do. Anyways, but okay, so regardless of all of these things, we do find ourselves where we are at right now, wherever it happens to be and under whatever circumstances we are in. But it's also come to my attention, aside from this little Berenstein Bears paradox, is that there are some crazy predictions coming up for the month of September.
Yeah, let's talk about these.
This is coming up pretty soon, man. I don't know. Are you familiar with any of these? I know I sent you a couple notes on them.
Tell me again.
One of them, we'll go through them one by one. One of them is, and we'll go ahead and go to, not the Berenstein Bears, this one here. Apparently, there's a giant comet that is supposed to be ramming into the Earth. Now, this is a 2.5 mile wide comet, and it turns out that this is the same comet that this Rosetta.
Oh, the sexy
satellite.
The sexy satellite.
Was it?
So
was it erotic in some way?
The thing about that,
I've never heard about a satellite with tits before.
When they landed it, the main scientist is this British nerd. He was wearing one of those bowling shirts that has sexy anime ladies on it, you know? And he was talking about Rosetta is a sexy satellite. She's hot and wild. He was sexualizing it.
Really?
And he had to apologize for being a nerd who liked.
That's kind of weird, man.
Yeah. It was weird. It really undermined the accomplishment.
I don't remember that happening. Maybe because it happened in the previous universe that we were in. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. Who's to say? So there is supposed to. So this particular comet, it's P67, and it was the comet that was landed on by the satellite that we sent out there. Now, I don't know if its course was changed by virtue of the fact that this satellite landed on it. Maybe changed its trajectory a little bit.
It's headed right for New York City in this picture, too.
Well, yeah, and it's on fire. I don't think it was on fire when the satellite landed on it. That
satellite's an arsonist. Rosetta's an arsonist.
that might have messed up a little bit of the telemetry. But yeah, so that's supposed to happen. And if it is, would NASA tell you? I wouldn't imagine so. They wouldn't want people panicking in the streets and looting stores and flipping over cop cars.
So where's it supposed to land?
It's supposed to land in the Atlantic Ocean, just north of South America, which seems a little specific to me. Like, there's various sources for this, and I didn't get real into it because I didn't feel like it. Like, I've been bummed out by the last 8 episodes I've done, and so I was just like, oh, a bunch of people are saying that a comet is supposed to smash into the Earth. We'll talk about it, and we'll see. You know, like all of these things that we're talking about tonight, if they happen, you heard them here first.
That's right.
As you know, as with so
Well,
many.
you heard them from someplace.
I heard them from someplace, but you heard them
You
here
heard them.
first. You.
Yeah.
All 2 or 3 of you watching, and you know some of you later on YouTube, but yeah. So that's one of them. You know, and we'll see. Hopefully not, because you know, a 2.5 mile thing would that would pretty much wipe out most of the life, at least on half of the Earth, if not all of it. Like that would be massive tsunami. Like imagine if the ocean, if the Atlantic Ocean just belly flopped on the you know 4 surrounding continents.
Surfs up.
It'd be pretty awful. It'd be like another extinction event. And what we learned from you know our previous couple episodes is that we're already well in the middle of an extinction event. So we don't need help from asteroid P67. You stay in space. You fly into the sun and leave us alone. So I want that to be the intent for the asteroid, is to just go away.
Okay.
You know, it's gonna bum me out. I've been trying to be more positive.
Yeah,
You know?
because you're worried about the asteroid.
Yeah. And I don't want to be worrying
You gotta
about
stop
it.
thinking about asteroids, Norm.
They don't give a shit what you think.
Just stop thinking about them.
Yeah, no, they go away. Adam, I'm gonna need you. I'm gonna need you to fill some airspace for a second while I eat some popsicle, because you're already finished with yours.
Absolutely, yeah. I chowed it down. It was really good, Nolan. The popsicle. Well, Nolan offered it to me.
Ashley actually did do a little bit more work on the actual pouring of the popsicles. I was there.
Yeah, you poured them, that was it. I gave him all the instructions, he couldn't do this without me.
Pour popsicle. Poured popsicle.
All right, so let's see, what else? What else do we have to talk about? There's a giant asteroid that's supposed to hit the Earth next month. Let's see what else. Oh, there's
big one?
There's the big one is supposed
Finally.
to hit the Pacific Northwest, and this one actually had a specific date. This was September 23rd. Oregon, Washington, Cascadia fault line area, 9+. So we would probably feel it down here a little bit. If not, Japan will most definitely get wiped out by another tsunami if this happens. And now there's an interesting thing about this. On the news feeds of Fox News stations, I mean, you understand Fox News is syndicated all over the country. For a little bit, a couple weeks ago, on the news crawl, they're rolled across, massive earthquake strikes Pacific Northwest. Like, they did that a couple weeks ago by accident. It was very quickly removed, and it kind of makes me feel like, well, are they able to plan these things now? Like, is HARP actually, you know, sending energy up to a satellite that is beaming down energy that's destabilizing the fault lines? Like, were they responsible for the Japan earthquake? Were they responsible for the earthquake in Chile? Just ramping up for, you know, widespread destruction. Why would they do that?
Because there wasn't an earthquake in the Pacific Northwest. That was bad information. They had to take it down. That wasn't real news.
Well, it doesn't seem to me that the news media is in the business of reporting shit before it happens. Like, why would that have even been out there is my question. That's what I don't understand.
So you're thinking that they accidentally put it on the news too early?
Yeah, man.
Why weren't all the stories that day different? How come just that one?
Well, probably because they fucked up.
But wouldn't all of them, if they fucked up, well, oops, the ones from September went out today, but they would have them all done in advance?
Well, because they realized their mistake and they're like, "Oh, oops, we should like take this off because this hasn't happened yet." And we're Fox News, we don't want to lose any more credibility.
Yeah.
You know.
Cantaloupe.
So, earthquake, Pacific Northwest, giant asteroid, Atlantic.
Maybe the Earth will open up and catch the asteroid, like a ball and glove.
Maybe the calculations for the asteroid were off. Maybe the asteroid will hit the Pacific Northwest, and that while the Earth is opening up because of the earthquake, the asteroid will just fall right in there.
Exactly.
Maybe. I hope so. I hope this new universe that we're in is able to accommodate, just nom-noms.
Treat that asteroid like a cantaloupe popsicle.
Yep. All right, so let's see, what else? There is, we got comet, we got earthquake, we have, oh my goodness, this is a fun one. This is, I'm sure you've heard of Jade Helm, right?
No, who's he?
Oh, Jade Helm is the most recent military exercise. It's basically where they have military operations in the civilian public. So they'll send Marines out with mock ordnance, and they'll position themselves in such a way that they would be ready for a land battle with insurgents or whatever. And it's a thing that they've been doing for quite a while, sometimes multiple times in a year. Now, the only problem is people are worried about this when information like this gets leaked. And the military has already said, like, yes, we're doing this thing. People get worried about this because it was these same types of military operations that were going on when the information, the intelligence that would have informed them about 9/11 occurring was overlooked. And this is how planes were allowed to fly into buildings and the Pentagon, because the military was distracted by these preparedness operations that they were undertaking. This is not like my own, bullshit hypothesis. The government admits that this is what was going on. And even at the time, they were like, oh, well, we just, we thought that this was part of the war games exercises that we were, going through. But this has started worrying people. I'll go back to the full screen on it, because there are certain areas of this country, and if you'll look at the blue parts and the red and brown parts, it is these areas of the country, and obviously this is all Pacific, American Northwest.
Southwest.
Or Southwest, I'm sorry. The blue areas are allies, and the red areas are combatants. And so you see the very bottom part of Southern California, is combatant. And so they're going to be, and they've been for the last 3 weeks, I believe, running these operations. So far, unbeknownst to anyone, we haven't heard about any kind of mishaps going on. There haven't been bombs that have gone off anywhere. We this was my fear originally when I first heard about this, that I was just like, oh, are they going to have something accidentally happen again, that we didn't know because we were doing our war games. But the people in Texas, I've heard, are pretty worried about this, and a lot of them believe that this is going to be a massive operation because, as you can see, the vast majority of Texas is considered a combatant area. That they're going to use this opportunity to disarm the Second Amendment loving citizenry of the area. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but this operation does not end until late September. And so, who's to say? What I am going to say is I'm glad I live in California, about 100 miles away from any of this, combatant operation nonsense. Because that'd bum me out, and I don't like being bummed out these days. I'd rather just eat
the cantaloupe, yeah.
Eat a cantaloupe popsicle.
Block out the darkness with cantaloupe.
Let's see. We got some other stuff. Is there anything you've heard about coming up in September that you want to enlighten us with?
Well, the El Nino is supposed to be coming. We've been hearing about that, like these thunderstorms and stuff. So that'll be cool.
El Nino is coming up. We definitely need the rain.
The last El Nino was cool. Or, I mean, the last big one in the 90s.
The last big one I remember was about 6 years ago.
Yeah. There was one in the 90s.
And there was a big one in the 90s. I remember I was still in high school, and it flooded the high school and massive rains.
You didn't want to be there anyway.
Yeah, man. No, there were huge winds too, and they actually called off school a couple days because
it's too windy.
Yeah, it was just hazardous winds, and it knocked out the power for the whole city.
Tight.
And so
so I'm excited for stuff like that happening, kind of shake things up. That would be cool.
For sure.
Yeah, anything that that signals some kind of cultural shift, I'm all for.
Yeah, definitely, man.
You got to keep it moving.
Yeah, you got to keep things interesting. I mean, if things can't be good all the time, they might as well be really awesome. Sometimes pretty good most of the time, you hope, and then if they have to be bad, they might as well be really shitty every once in a while. And I think that's what the powers that be are trying to do. They're just bored. They're like these little shithead kids that have all the money in the world, and they're like, oh, we're bored, let's have a war, let's make up all this shit. Let's make a giant 9.0 earthquake in Japan, and oh wait, a nuclear reactor melted down and that's just a cool bonus. And yeah, it sucks, but I mean, what would you do if you had all the money in the world?
I'd eat a lot more vegan popsicles.
There would be a lot more of these, but I got to admit, every once in a while, I would just run a helicopter and just drop a pallet of eggs on the freeway.
I think cause an accident.
And I'm not gonna lie, dude, I get bored and my thoughts sometimes go to being a shithead. And I can't blame them specifically, But it's one of those things where I feel like with that kind of wealth and that kind of access to resources comes a little bit more responsibility. If I had $10,000, I would drop a pallet of eggs on the White House. I just
turn that into the egg white house.
Yeah, right. Whatever, dude, wash it off.
The egg white's house.
But yeah, so it kind of makes me curious because it hasn't really been since the first one I remember growing up was 1999, going into 2000. They were like, oh well, the clocks haven't been reset yet to account. Yeah, and all of the nuclear missiles are gonna launch because they're gonna go into panic mode or whatever, and that didn't happen. And then the next one I remember after that was 2012.
Oh yeah, that was cool too.
And everyone was
the Mayans.
Yeah, man, the Mayan calendar entering a new age. And they quickly corrected it to say, well, we didn't mean the world was going to end or that apocalypse was going to happen. We just meant that we're kind of easing into this new age, And so, There was that, because like all of the stuff they predicted ended up mostly being not true. And so it's not since then that I have seen, lo, 3 years later now, everyone's starting to get bored again, and they're, coming up with all of these things. We're actually not done with them yet, man. There's Jade Helm. Let's see what else we have for today. Oh, the Pope. Also,
he wants the one world government.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was really starting to like this guy. He was talking about, feeding the poor and like actually being a good Christian these days, and he doesn't wear all of the fancy garb that previous popes have been known to wear. So he kind of seemed to be this like really kind of Pope of the people in such a way that we haven't seen, since like John Paul II. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't agree with a lot of his policies regarding, Catholic doctrine, but he did seem to genuinely be kind of that man of the people sort of Pope, mm-hmm. where, he visited more countries for the first time than most popes before him. And one thing that they're saying is that Pope Francis is going to speak before not only before our president, but also before the United Nations, and actually to rally the Catholics of the world in favor of this sort of new world order, one world government that everyone's been so opposed to, and rightfully so.
Why? So the apocalypse will happen?
I don't know, man. Maybe he got bought. Maybe he was like Obama, and he was like, man, I'm going to do all this rad shit. And then he got in, and they were like, no, you can't do any of that. You silly little man. You don't run anything. You're just a puppet. And some people have called him the Antichrist. And not because he's saying bad shit, or at least not, until he's supposed to be doing in a month. This is actually prophecy that has come from hundreds of years ago from Saint Malachius Epis, or something like that. Now, Saint Malachi,
he's got a stomach ache.
Yeah, he looks like he's kind of nursing a tummy ache. Maybe he ate some
Pepto-Bismol commercial.
Maybe he ate some. Didn't really have to be anything special. It just had to be food back then. Food probably made a lot of people sick back then.
What did Malachi say?
But Saint Malachi was this was one of his miracles that he performed. Was he had like this kind of schizo breakdown in a cathedral, and he described every pope by name up to the point of his lifetime, not directly, by name, but he described that person in such a way that, like, it had to be that person, and obviously the more recent popes of his time, they were like, oh yeah, well, we just had experiences with these people, you just described those people. But then what he did was he extrapolated hundreds of years into the future, and he described all of the future popes that would come in the same way by like these very odd, little details of their lives that he obviously couldn't have known. And he went on like this for hours describing the popes until he got to the last one in order. And the last ones in that list were Pope John Paul II, and he described, as it turns out, Pope John Paul II was born on the day of a solar eclipse. Saint Malachi described this accurately in the order of popes. Mm-hmm. So this matched up. Pope Benedict he described also. And so the last pope was the Antichrist. And so people are saying, well, you know, he seems like a good guy, but as it turns out, this, you know, Pope Francis, he's going to be the last one before the world ends.
Awesome.
And so, and then...
Bring it on.
Yeah.
That makes me like him even more.
Well, yeah, something's got to change, right? You know, things are getting boring. Or at least mediocre. Like, I mean, you really want to keep living like this?
No, I want a rapture situation.
Yeah, man. I want there to be some judgment.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then it only lasts for 7 years. And then it's over, you get to go to heaven.
You know...
But think what you want to like worry about, like, because you know, okay, 7 years, you wouldn't have to worry about your career or anything. Like,
yeah, all this stupid shit that you have to worry about to, like, exist on the earth.
Yeah, like, well,
you know?
7 years, whatever, I'll figure it out. I don't need to plan for the future. I don't need to save any money. 7 years, go to heaven.
You know, I've been living that kind of, like, breakneck pace my whole life, as it turns out. Like, I don't give a shit about money. Turns out it was all in preparation
Rapture.
For this grand revelation, right? So... people are saying that Pope Francis is supposed to be the Antichrist, but I was thinking it was this guy. You know,
Me.
No, not Adam Papagan. No, Adam is only evil on the weekends. This Pope Benedict was evil all the fucking time, you guys.
Yeah, the Nazi Pope. Nobody liked him.
Yeah, so much so that he resigned. Like, even the Catholic churches were like, Brody, you got to step down. Now, a couple interesting things about this particular pope. He was one of the most decadent of the last half century. He was the one who made it a point to carry around that giant golden crucifix, you know. He was also, as you stated, he was part of the Hitler Youth. So he was, in fact, a Nazi. And, you know, people say, well, you know, that Pope was a Nazi. Doesn't that bother you? And while it does, when you look at the track records of the Nazis and the Catholic Church side by side, as far as, like, atrocities committed per capita over time, you know, I kind of feel like the Nazis lasted for, what, about 15, 20 years? And they got their asses handed to them in a pretty high hat. Like
the Pope hat.
And yeah, you know,
that's a high hat.
It is. It is. It's kind of like a dunce cap. So yeah, the Nazis didn't last too long, and they have one genocide on their record. So, you know, if we're keeping score, Nazis won. So let's look at the Catholic Church record of atrocity and genocide. We have the Spanish conquest of the Americas. That was good for, you know, probably about 20 million people either dying by the sword or by disease spread by blankets, you know, that were sold to them for the express purpose of passing on disease. The Catholic Church refused to acknowledge the Holocaust of World War II until Pope John Paul. So, and they also killed Joan of Arc. Yeah,
not really genocide.
Not really. It was a genocide of one.
Yeah, it's not a genocide.
And they recently have been talking about canonizing Joan of Arc as a saint. So it's that kind of self-serving. We'll murder people to use them for our own, you know, purposes later on. That's kind of a shithead thing to do. But yeah, so Pope Benedict the 16th, his name before he became the Pope.
John Ratzinger.
Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger.
Same as Cheers.
That was John Ratzenberger.
Similar to Cheers.
Very close. Very close. I like that. But yeah, so yes, he was Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger. Do you know what kind of business he was involved in before he became Pope?
Like what priest business he had? I don't know. Probably a cardinal, I'm imagining. The archdiocese.
As Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, he was part of the the committee from the I believe it was the late 60s through the 90s to suppress the contents of the Dead Sea Scrolls. He presided over their translation. He got to control what was released to the public during that period of time. And so yeah, that was kind of a shithead move. I mean, these were, gospels of the other disciples. These were, books of history, wisdom, philosophy that would have helped greatly augment some of the more recent atrocities of the Catholic Church. That this fuckface decided, not that he decided, he was put in charge of suppressing them, probably by the other, popes that he served under. But yeah, he was still a shithead. And so what I've decided I want to do on this show, and I think this is going to be the first of them, is I want to do a fuckface of the week.
Okay.
So Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, we know your name. And you were Pope Benedict XVI. You also helped send, put him up full screen. He also helped.
Wearing a watch.
He also helped to relocate priests around the world that were under suspicion of I can't really think of a discreet way to put it, of the kid fucking.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he gets fuckhead points for that too.
Okay.
So Nazi youth suppressed the Dead Sea Scrolls for over a quarter century and helped hide priests who raped children. Fuck you, Cardinal Ratzinger.
Suppressing the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, man, and the kid fucking.
And those scrolls, man. I wanted to read them.
There is a special circle of hell dedicated to pieces of shit like you. You can't hide behind those robes for too much longer before your filthy soul gets realized. I don't know if we have anything else. Yeah, we're back to the Berenstein Bears.
Hey, fuck you, you stupid bears.
Yeah.
We changed the spelling of your name.
Fucking up the universe I was born in.
You're biting your nails.
Yeah.
You should be clipping your fingernails.
Knocking the lamp off the wall. So anyways, you guys, I needed a little bit of a break. We've been talking about fucked up shit for the last couple months. And so I'd like to thank Adam Papagan for appearing on the show once again and having a couple laughs. And hopefully all the fucked up shit that we were talking about for the last half hour of the episode doesn't come true. If not,
I hope it does come true.
I hope some of it comes true. I'm not going to lie. I'd like to see some of the Texans getting disarmed and disgruntled.
I'm excited.
If nothing else, it should be interesting times coming up. So you guys take care. Thanks for tuning in. Wherever you're going, get there safe. Peace out.